Almost ready?
I'm ready.
You ready? We'll go ahead and call the Ellis County Commission meeting to order. All rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Donna, please call the roll.
Commissioner Butch Slyer,
I'm present.
Chair Dean Hazelworth,
Present.
Dustin Law.
Present.
Okay, you have a quorum.
Thank you. Any changes to the order of business this evening, gentlemen? We do have 3 executive sessions, correct? Yes. Next is prior minutes, February the 18th and February the 22nd. If you've had both time to review them, yes, yes.
No issues.
Approved as presented, Donna.
Thank you.
Next, I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda, items A through F.
A through G.
That's G.
I move we approve consent agenda items A through G.
I'll second the motion.
Donna, we have a motion and a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Issues from persons not on the order of business this evening. Do we have anyone? Seeing none, any new employees this evening? Mr. Bill Ring?
Good evening, Commissioner. Good evening, Commissioner. Bill Ring, Public Works Director.
It's a great pleasure to bring up Dave Schuster. Thank you to the commission for allowing me to establish the foreman position, the second foreman position. Dave's somewhat of a new employee. He just started his 29th year with the county in January. So Dave Schuster, the commission, and I think he's going to do a great job for us. So you want to just give him a little background?
Welcome, Dave.
Oh, I've been with the county. I'll start my 29 years. I started on a grader, and that's where I am today until I decided to move up to road foreman, which right now I'm filling both positions. I'm kind of road foreman, plus still working on the grader.
That's good. Welcome. And if it keeps snowing, you might still have to help out on that grader.
Well, that's what I told them when I took the job. Like, I'll stay there, do it as long as I have to, try and fill both until we can figure out what we're doing.
Sure. Thank you. Thanks, Bill. Welcome aboard to a new job.
We're looking forward to Dave also doing some in-house training, because he's, I believe, one of the best grader operators we've had, and he's, you know, and that comes from the other people that are operators there, not just myself. So we're hoping to use his expertise and be able to bring some of the younger guys up, and if they have issues or, you know, need some assistance, he'll be able to go out in the field. And I know because he's my grader man, he's a neighbor. So I know the job he does in our area, and he does an excellent job. So thank you again for that.
Yep. Thanks again.
Thank you.
IT Director Mike Leiker. I do have a new employee. He started January 1st. Paul Dreiling is our new network technician. He's the position we overfilled. We have a retirement coming up here the first part of April. So this is Paul Dreiling.
Thank you. I'm Paul Dreiling. I think I've known most of you all, so again, thank you for giving me the opportunity to work for the county. I appreciate it, and thank you.
Yeah, welcome aboard.
Thanks, Paul.
Mike doesn't have to be the new guy anymore. Yep, thank you, Mike. Next item, Fair Board update. Maybe Jill and Guest, we'll see. Yep, Jill and Guest.
I'm Jill Fawnenstill, and this is Justin Scheck. I am current president of the Fair Board. I'm in my 7th year serving as president, and Justin is vice president. We just figured since there's 2 new commissioners, we'd come up here and give an update on the Fair Board. And we have a full Fair Board right now, 15 volunteers and fairground managers. The purpose of the fair every year is for 4-H and open class to enter and exhibit items and get them judged. You have everything from in the buildings, arts, crafts, foods, to our livestock exhibits. So the purpose of the fair board is to make sure all that runs smooth during the week. A way to get people out there to see these exhibits is we have main events every night. This year we'll do 2 nights of races, 2 nights of rodeo, demo derby, and 2 nights of monster trucks. The way we pay for those main events is we go out and raise sponsorship money, and then that helps get our all-week pass to a cheaper price for everybody to purchase and come out. There was a couple items that we kind of wanted to visit with you about that we need some assistance on out at the fairgrounds. We have some drainage problems we're going to see if we could get help addressing. Justin, you want to explain?
As you all know, last year we had a lot of moisture during the week of the fair. That whole week, I know Dean was out there. The barns for the cattle, they were underwater. I've got a couple maps here. I'll let Jill hand them to some of the commissioners. And what we'd like to try to do is see if we can get some assistance from the county, or if we have some type of engineer that we could have come out and look at this to see if there's any way we could do some better drainage. It would be on the east side of the buildings, and to see if we could cut a draw through there so we could get the water to go past the barns instead of running into the barns. The first 2 buildings are the Unrein and the Shank, and then you've got the show arena, and then you just got our tie outs, and then you got the beef barn on the bottom. And that whole show area, any water that comes off the buildings on the top comes down and runs right into the tie area and into the beef barn. We tried something different last year. We put wood chips in there instead of sand. It helped a little bit, but everything still floated. Like I said, I know last year was an off year, but I guess we're just asking to see if the county has some type of engineer that we can get to come out and see if we can shoot levels and see if this can be possible, if we can put a drainage ditch in the side.
We'll probably refer this over to our Public Works Director, Mr. Bill Ring. Would you like to come up, please? Bill, if you want a copy of my map, you can have mine. I don't know if you've seen that yet or not, but
I haven't seen this.
I guess
Bill Ring, Public Works.
I guess I'd encourage Justin to get with Bill and maybe meet him out there, and maybe Kurt could come with Bill and you guys could look at it.
We could probably go out there and meet up with him and shoot grade and whatnot, try to get some preliminaries. And then if we had to take it to the next step, we'd have to call one of the engineers that we deal with now to see.
I know where he's talking out there, it might be a chance to, like you say, cut a drainage ditch and drain it on down past the fairground or the racetrack on the east side. That might be an option.
Mm-hmm.
There was a culvert in there that would shoot the water on down further, because it's all downhill from there on.
But it's how much, what the grade and the percentage that we'd have to look at. And then if it would have to be done with, some form of concrete and drainage, true drainage system, or to get the water to flow to certain locations.
Mm-hmm.
Something like a stormwater system of some form.
Yeah, because I know Justin was talking, it was definitely wet down there last year during the fair.
Oh, I know, I was out there.
But I know that day I looked at it, I thought too, you could maybe put a culvert in at that far south end and divert the water back to the east maybe, but I'll let the professional look at that.
Okay.
If you'd have time, meet up with Justin and maybe look at that in the future.
If you
That
can
would
guarantee no more snow, I think Bill will have plenty of time.
No more snow for at least 7 days.
Well, according to someone from our environmental office, in a prior meeting with our county administrator, he said the Farmer's Almanac, something about May with snow.
Really?
Yep, so. But yeah, he's got my numbers, she has my numbers, so that's fine. We'll get together with them and take a look at it, and we can either they can or I can report back to you on what some of our findings are. Again, if I have to call an engineer, we'll have to pull somebody in to get, if you need some professional guidance on it, that need to be stamped off. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
All right.
I'll let you know. Thank you.
Did you guys have any questions for us, like for the fair? Anything you have?
You got a full slate, looks good.
Yes.
Thank you both for the work you put into that.
We have one more question, I believe.
I've got one more question and concern. Dean might know a little bit about it. It's about the lagoon out at the fairgrounds. I guess as the vice president of the fair board, I've been taking care of things along with the water that we've been having. We've been having to haul water out of the lagoons. We're just kind of questioning to see whose responsibility it is to take care of the lagoons. If it's the fair boards, is it the counties? Who has the responsibility to maintain the level and get the water hauled out?
I'd say in the summertime, and Bill can maybe help me out again, in the summertime, if we're doing road work, we could probably borrow the water for road work. I mean, it does come from the Enrine building, and the Shank building is where all this excess water is coming from, not including the sky, but I know it's been pretty expensive for you guys to get that hauled out to maintain.
It's been pretty expensive for you guys
Well,
because all their money
I know,
comes
it's
from the
coming
general
up.
fund.
Sure. I don't know if there's a better option we can look at doing there, Bill. Are you familiar with that at all? Or is there something we could look at doing or not?
I mean, I've got another suggestion, and it's on that map you guys have. It'll have to be looked at with Bill or an engineer again. My thinking is to divert all the water off of the Unrein and the Shank building to the far east ditch on the other side of the road, and also drain it down past the racetracks. That would save a lot of water from running down into there. And then the other option is to put guttering on the pig barn and the beef barn down at the down on the barns to keep it from draining into the lagoons and make it drain past the lagoons.
Bill, are you familiar with that? I'm sure. I know you've been out there.
As Justin pointed out, one of the issues this past year has been the overabundance of moisture we've had. And we don't need water for road work this time of year.
Sure.
I mean, he called me, I don't know, a month ago, and we went out and took a bunch of water out of it to help out, and then we just put on the road. We're limited to what we can legally do with the water. And are you talking about that there's not gray water going in there, that there's rainwater going in there?
There is a lot of rainwater that's what fills it up. It's not our sewer system out of the buildings that fill it up. It's the rainwater.
It's the rainwater. If you go look at that, it goes directly to it. I mean, directly to it.
Okay, well then we can, at the same time, I guess we can look at the drainage, because once it's in there, then I believe in, Mason from our environmental officer, if you have any questions about what we can and can't do, but, the road work is acceptable, but that's about it. We can't let it just overflow. We've got to be very cautious about the lagoons themselves topping over, because that's not allowed. Correct? So again, I guess at the same time, probably the best thing is, once we get a little bit warmer weather, grab Mason, myself, Justin, Kurt, whatever, and go out and look at the entire water situation, both the drainage into the lagoons, if there's a way to engineer rainwater away from it, as well as the drainage issues on the east side of the farm buildings they're talking about on the map you've got. I mean, if that would work, at least to get in, we could come back with some basic ideas on what we're finding and what, possible corrective action could be taken.
Sure. I think that'd be good.
Again, will that work? Okay. Well, I know, but I'm just saying, but I mean, problem is what to do with it today. I mean, we can't put water on county roads today and make them, ice skating.
I got a feeling once the snow starts melting again, we're probably going to end up hauling water out of there again. And the only option I got with it is I call some of the water trucks in the county, and I get them to come out and haul water out. Well, they charge,
$85 an hour.
yeah, and then they gotta, they charge to put it down the disposal they're putting it down or wherever they're putting it. So it does add up really, really fast.
An 80 barrel out of there doesn't go very far.
No.
It might lower it a half inch.
Oh, we went out a couple weeks ago it's been now, but I don't know how many truckloads we took out of there, and you wouldn't know, it doesn't dent it.
Oh, I'm sure. Doesn't go very far.
It's like a glass of water out of a stock tank. You don't notice it. I mean, that's where
That's
we're
right.
at. Okay?
Okay, thanks, Bill, for working with them. Thank you both.
Okay.
Well, thank you
Awesome.
guys
Thank
for
you.
your support.
Yeah, thank you.
IT policy updates, Mr. Mike Liker.
Mike Liker, Ellis County IT Director. You have before you a couple of IT policies. These are updates. They're several years old, so we needed to go through and update them. As you know, technology changes very rapidly, and we need to keep up with those policies. The first one is the password policy, and that's just a standard, the standard rules for creating good passwords on any of the county equipment that require passwords, the network and such. It's pretty straightforward. We've increased the rules for passwords a little bit to keep up with standard best practices. So I just have that for you to approve. And the second one is acceptable use policy. That gets in a little more in depth on how the users use the equipment and the network and everything on our system. It kind of goes through and gives it. It's pretty general. Should be fairly common sense, but it does outline what is acceptable and a few things that are not acceptable to do while on our network. Again, this is an update. The old one was several years old, so it's just to stay up with current trends and best practices. So I don't have anything specific to outline there, but if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer those.
Mike, have you ever found any violations in the past about these policies?
There's been some, minor ones that are easily fixed. Most of the time, most of these policies are controlled by the system, and so it just won't let them do a lot of the things. The violations we found are just the way that, mostly in the password policy, the way they store their passwords. These days you don't want to put it on a sticky note and stick it on your desk or on your monitor, those kinds of things. But we haven't had any serious breaches in the past. So,
Any questions, Dustin?
No, I don't think I have anything for you.
Anything else?
It all
Bill?
seems
No,
like stuff.
no
that
questions. Need a motion?
Please.
I move the commission approve the updated Ellis County password policy and the Ellis County acceptable use policy.
I second that.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
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 Motion carries 3-0, Donna. Thank you, Mike.
I do have a current copy that doesn't say draft on it. I'm not sure if you have that or not, but you can sign the back page on these if you'd like.
Okay. Next item on the agenda is Emergency Operations Plan. Darren Myers.
Good evening, Commission. Darren Myers, Director of Fire and Emergency Management. We got a couple items on the agenda tonight to discuss with you. The first being our draft copy of the 2018, I guess 19 now, Emergency Operations Plan. By state statute, Ellis County is required to update our Emergency Operations Plan every 5 years, which it was due back in November of 2018. At that time, it was submitted to the state for their oversight, their review, their suggestions, and any changes back down to us, which they gave. And then over the next basically 2 months, we were able to make those corrections and get the approval letter from KDM. the entire plan's unfortunately about 800 and some pages, so I don't intend the commission to read all the pages. However, probably 60 to 70% of that are all attachments, maps and different things, charts and everything, a whole bunch of information that goes along with emergency operations within the county. So to move forward with it after we got our state approval letter is now turn for me to bring it back to you, the commission, to adopt it and promulgate it, sign that paper, and we can send it back to the state to have it complete for another 5 more years.
Sounds good, Darren. Commissioners, any questions?
No questions?
No?
Not, I would ask for a motion to approve.
I move the commission adopt the February 2019 update of the Ellis County Emergency Operations Plan, including the attached resolution, and direct the clerk to publish resolution number 2019-3.
I second that.
Donna, we have a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I will address a little bit more of that just because there was a little bit more in there rather than just the EOP. Part of that is the resolution 2019-3. Which goes over the Ellis County Commission adopting the National Incident Management System. That was last done back in 2005, and since the times have changed and they're actually, FEMA's putting out new classes for the NIMS system, I figured it would be best, as well as KDM recommended, that we have the commission adopt that new resolution as well, updating that we're still in compliance with NIMS and training, or providing the training to our county employees to be NIMS certified, which more or less helps us run an incident, manage an incident, as well as gives us the ability to get federal funding.
Thank you for all that update, Darren. Anything else, commissioners?
Nope.
We have a motion and a second. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. Thank you, Darren. You're on the item again next, Emergency Communication Service Agreements.
And I do, just like Mike, have a separate copy for the commission to sign that doesn't have attachment or anything on it, so that way we have a nice, fresh, clean copy. As the Fair Board also suggested with, or they mentioned with the, with 2 new commissioners, I wanted to bring back a couple different items that we annually have to pay within our emergency dispatch center. 2 different service agreements that we have between 2 different companies, the coordinating council for our call handling system, which is basically the system whenever you call 911. It's the computers, the systems, the softwares, the connection to the state and the core sites that allow us to take that 911 call, get information from it, and spill all, or it's called spill or dump it into our CAD system, our computer-aided dispatch center, or computer-aided dispatch, which is our records management system. And those 2 service agreements are through Motorola and the coordinating council, and their annual payments. And we just thought it was best to bring it to the commission to let you be aware that those are out there, and we pay those annually. And at least offer any questions that I can answer for you.
There's no way around that service fee we have to pay every year.
Correct. It's I know those aren't pleasurable.
Yeah.
But that does pay for the connection to the site, all the future upgrades, all the software, the hardware, all the equipment, through the coordinating council and everything that is also connected with AT&T. If we decided not to pay it, basically we would not have 911
Sure.
in the capability that we have now. And the problem with the dispatch center that we run into nowadays is if you look at each one of your cell phones, you replace them every 1 to 2 years. We had technology down in the dispatch center that's 20. And when we're starting to receive text to 911 and dispatch, as well as what's coming with video messages that can be sent to the dispatch center, as well as triangulating or called geofencing the location exactly where the cell phone's at, all that is part of this package. And unfortunately, technology is driving us to follow their direction and have those capabilities in the dispatch center, so that way whenever they are used, we can gather that information.
And this is paid through Fund 125. It looks like not out of the general fund. It's made
Correct.
on a cell phone bill.
Correct. That's been collecting, the state's been collecting it and pushing it back to the counties or the local dispatch center since 2011. And we've been saving a lot of that money, which paid for all these upgrades. And we continue to receive those. I think we budget $215,000 a year. That helps pay for all of this. So it's not coming out of our county general fund. However, in the last week, there's a bill out on the House of Representatives floor to increase that fee, which would increase what we would collect from roughly 97% of the 60 cents per cell phone bill, increase up what we would collect per bill by 20 cents. And then there's going to be some other administrative fees that the coordinating council could also use to help fund not passing any other expenses on to us in the future. However, when that bill was on the floor, it got amended and it was reduced from $1.03 down to 83 cents, taking away the 20-cent increase for us, basically. So they're hoping once it hits the Senate floor that they'll have a little bit of work that they can get in there and get that 20 cents back added on there. But that would greatly help us to be able to take some more money out of our general fund obligation, put it into that Fund 125, and take the burden off for county taxpayers. However, that bill's kind of stalled out right now. I did reach out to our two representatives for Ellis County and kind of filled them in what was going on so that way we could get their support as well.
Darren, at the bottom of your page, you state your next piece of equipment, the CAD RMS
Correct.
computer system. You say that's going to be very expensive. What's that going to cost?
Over the last 2 years, all the public safety agencies, we've invited them over to 5 demos from different software companies. For a very bare bones system, we're looking at least $600,000 to $750,000, up to something more expensive and more excessive than what we need of well over $1 million. So,
is there a timeline when you have to have this in place?
Well, it goes back to that technology part of it. There's a lot of things that are coming out that we don't have capabilities of for here in Ellis County, and the system that we have now is through a company that basically does not offer those upgrades and has no planned intention on doing it. It's more designed towards counties, jurisdictions, and PSAPs or public safety answering points that are a lot smaller than what we have here in Ellis County. So we're like their top level of services, counties that they provide service to. So it's needed. It needs to be done quicker than necessary, but it's going to be at least 5 years out. The money that we have savings, that we were saving out of Fund 125, we used to purchase all the other equipment. And last year, if I guess Commissioner Hazelhorse would remember, we originally were trying to put $70,000 aside into Fund 16. Last year, it got cut in half to $35,000, and most likely with the budget cuts that we're looking at this year, that's going to be reduced even more. So if I say 5 years now, it's probably going to be maybe 10 before we can actually do something. And we're trying to look for grants. Part of that increase in the sales tax per cell phone bill will provide a $2 million account balance per year for grants to be awarded out. So we'll see. Maybe we'll get lucky.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it, Darren. Keep working on that.
Darren, it's your show again. Ellis County Fire Department, Company 4.
Gets easier as we go. The last agenda item is for the replacement, as we promoted a couple individuals within the Company 4 fire station over in Victoria. As the commission may or may not be aware, Verlin Hammerschmidt, with 42 years of service, was also the city fire chief for Victoria. He retired. And our county fire chief, we combined the two positions between the city of Victoria and Ellis County. So we had to give him the position, and then one other captain retired, Dave Gagnon, and his position was a captain. So we went through the assessment process and had a couple different firefighters apply for the position. And Scotty Welbrock came out of it as recommended by both the chief, the assistant chief, and myself to be promoted to the fire captain for Victoria.
How many years did Verlin service?
42.
42.
Oh, my.
It's amazing.
Orva
I
has
guarantee you we won't get 42 years out of the kids we hire nowadays.
knowledge. He was always very dedicated. They might have to have a shrine at that Victoria station or something. He's been there forever.
They're putting a sign up out front, and they're gonna.
Oh, are they?
I think it was sitting over there at your retreat last week.
Street sign.
The street sign. I think they're gonna name like the driveway after him or something
Is that
because they
right?
already named the building after Norman Trent.
Sure. Cool. Great. Thank you. Any questions for Darren, Commissioner?
No, none for me.
No? Thanks for coming.
Thanks for your time.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda, Ellis County Attorney Budget Authority increase. Tom Drees.
Hi, Tom Drees, Ellis County Attorney. This is a follow-up from 3 weeks ago when I presented my information to the commission, and you tabled that to take a look at the information, and so I'm back again. Any questions that the commissioners have?
Butch, you got anything to say first?
Well, I did meet with Tom, I believe it was last week. We went over the numbers, and I believe what Tom says is absolutely accurate. He can validate his statistics. I believe he could sure use another attorney. I think since you were on the agenda the first time, it's been impressed upon me even more that the county's financial situation is just really, really bad. Your timing on this is just atrocious. And I really have reservations from my part of this about allowing that extra $35,000, because it's going to have to come from some other department somehow or somewhere. So that's what I got to say about the situation right now.
Thank you, Butch. Commissioner Rhodes?
I also got to sit down with Tom. I appreciate you taking the time to show me around the courthouse and the police offices and talk to me about the situation that we're in. It's one of the harder decisions that I think we'll have to make in terms of public safety and the idea of you guys doing as good of a job as you are. You know, that being said, same way, it's just hard for me in the middle of an adopted budget to, especially while we're asking everyone to cut, to make an adjustment mid-year on something. You know, so, you know, there were a couple of things that I think were great to talk to you about that I think we got cleared up that were issues of some of the prosecution not being taken care of. I'm glad we talked about that, and I don't believe that that's true. I believe that obviously in your position you have to selectively decide what cases to prosecute, and I think you do a good job of that. So, you know, as Butch alluded to, I feel like we're at a situation where spending at this point is just not much of an option, but that's been my struggle the whole time with this. So,
Thank you, Dustin. And also had a chance to sit down with Tom and Charlene and Amanda today. Well, I guess Amanda was there or happened to be there, but and after I talked to you, Tom, I went back home, looked through all that budget numbers that Phil has provided with us, and I guess I'm going to echo the comments of my fellow commissioners. Just trying to decide where we're going to come up with another $35,000 when we're $2 million short, or approximately that much short. And I guess until I see all of the numbers from all the departments, I guess I'm going to have a tough time approving that also as of right now, because I don't know where the $2 million is going to come from yet. We're working on it. Phil's working on it, I know, day and night and on weekends, trying to make numbers work. So it's going to be tough to approve it tonight, for me anyway, just until I see where we're actually going to come in when we get closer to all these numbers that Phil's going to provide us here over the next few weeks. And I can see you're stacking that back room that you showed me today. I think it was 229, I believe you told me, sitting back there that haven't been done yet. I know most of them are drug charges, like you said. At the same time, it's, I think, well, Dustin just said it also. I mean, I know you do a good job, you and Charlene doing a good job, and everybody in your office, what you prioritize with, and I think we're gonna have to continue doing that until we can, I'm gonna say you don't need an attorney in there, but I think until we can find out where that money's gonna come from for sure, I can't approve it tonight, or that's that's how I feel anyway. But I thank you for all the work you put in, and I can see you do have a need in that office, Tom. I just, until we get to see all the numbers from all the other departments and where that's gonna end up at, I think we just have to wait and see at that point. So, anyway. Any further questions for Tom, guys, or anything else to say?
No, I really don't. Like I say, Tom, I appreciate the time we spent together, and I do think your request is valid. It's just, right now, we just can't make that decision, given the funding issues.
Okay. Tom,
Well, I do
anything?
appreciate all of you coming down and the opportunity to visit with all of you. You all have an open invitation. Anytime you have questions, give me a call.
Okay.
Thank you
Okay.
very much.
Tom, your service has definitely been noticed by the public. Your long-term in your chair, and keep doing a great job. I really wish that there was the funds there. I really do. It's a tough decision, but it's the tough decisions that we have to start making in our fiscal situation.
And hopefully going forward with a few things that could possibly change our financial outlook, and maybe, at that point, we can look at this again and hopefully get you a staff on board.
Hopefully prioritize.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Tom.
Next item, sale of 1 acre of land, Bill Ring.
Good evening again, Bill Ring, Public Works Director. In your packet before you, you've got a request from a citizen that purchased at auction a half section of ground, and after the fact, it was determined by the auction company, Ellis County actually owned 1 acre in the southwest corner of that property that had been purchased by the commission 87 years ago. There's no record of it other than in the deeds and record department. We had the various departments upstairs go through everything. There was nothing in minutes or records. There's nothing in any county inventories. So I put together an agenda item that you have that shows that, with the assistance of our county counselor, Mr. Jeter, that by statute, you can in fact accept something that's an offer under $1,000. And that is the price. The $800 is what he paid. And he did buy 320 acres, even though he was only entitled to 319, because no one knew. So he will be.
Bill, one question, it's for surface rights only. Did he get the mineral rights on the other 320? Do we know?
I don't know whether he did or not, but that's the request that he made to us, and his offer to purchase was surface rights only.
I was saying if he bought the mineral rights on the other.
That's something actually that Bill and I have discussed, and
But that was at his request and his.
that's his proposal.
And his proposal,
Okay.
so we left
I
that.
noticed that when you sent that to me, I seen it was surface rights only, and I thought, well, if he bought the other 320 with minerals, he may want that 1 acre with that on.
How does that legally affect if we don't sell the mineral rights of that acre?
Well, and he may not bought it at the auction. He may have bought it at the auction without mineral rights.
Okay.
The legal effect that is the county is assuming that the title is good way back whenever the county owned that property, is we would still own the minerals under that 1 acre.
Might be able to solve our budget problems.
Yeah.
Not for 1 acre, sorry. I don't think 1 acre will solve our problems.
Probably not.
Unless they had a well up there that's making 30,000 barrel a day or something. Commissioners, questions for Bill or?
No, I don't have any.
No indication of why this was purchased at that point? Just a record
No,
that
you've
it
got a
was?
copy from the deed from November 1 of 32, and Donna's staff spent an exorbitant amount of time trying to, because everyone was very interested in why and how and whatnot.
Yeah.
And in the minute books and in any other records, the appraiser had nothing on it, et cetera. So we do not know why the county chose, and you can see in the picture that was attached, it was in the corner there. It appears from Google Earth, if you zoom in, it's being used for hay storage, which I'm sure the county would not have. Whether they wanted to have something there, I'd like to know just for curiosity, but unfortunately, we will probably never know.
I don't think any of us was around in 32, so.
Not many of us.
Our
It was
sheriff's
interesting
office might have been on horses.
And it was interesting when you look at it, but I guess in those days that the $50 that we paid was split among 6 people. So it's not like anyone had a windfall.
There you go. You just need to find some more ground like this for sale.
That was a good land investment we made then, huh?
Correct.
Wow. All right, gentlemen, we need a motion to approve if you're inclined to.
I move that the commission accept the offer of $800 from Stephen and Fran Robin of Victoria, Kansas for a 1-acre tract located on the southwest corner of a half section, 320 acres of ground they recently purchased at auction, and adopt resolution number 2019-04 pertaining to the sale.
I'll second that motion.
Donna, we have a motion and a second to approve our 1 acre of ground for sale. No further discussion. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries 3-0.
Thank
Bill.
you. I will contact Mr. Robin and direct him to County Councilor to finish the process then.
Thank you. Next item, County Councilor, Mr. Bill Jeter.
County Councilor Bill Jeter, and I have gone ahead and prepared a deed, assuming that the commission would approve that, so.
Okay.
Okay.
Whenever we do a closing of sorts, then chair will be required to sign the deed, and so will the county clerk. I don't have anything tonight, other than we do have 3 executive sessions, and one of them is mine on a matter of attorney-client privilege.
Okay. Move on to County Administrator Report, Philip Smith-Haynes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. County Administrator Philip Smith-Haynes. I have no report this evening.
County Commission reports.
I have no report, Mr. Chair.
Dustin?
Over the last couple of weeks, we did go on our trip to see the Northwest Corridor, and I just want to say that I was extremely impressed for the first time getting to see Hess Services and the size and scope of that facility. And thank you to all of the elected and appointed public officials that came along. Hopefully they were as impressed as I am with what's going on there and saw the need that I think we all already know exists. I just always want to keep that on the forefront. That way this doesn't get caught up in the cogs of typical government bureaucracy and take forever. I want them to know that that is at the top of our minds, and that is a few businesses that we really feel need taken care of in our part of the world. So that's all I have for my commission report.
Thank you. Likewise, heard a lot of good feedback from our bus tour. Phil, thank you for putting all that together. I know you had a week or 2 of fun and games to get everything organized, so thank you very much. Heard a lot of good reports. Dan Hess was very thankful we came out, and hopefully we can make that work. I think things are going forward there, and he did say thanks to all of us for showing up, for being there that day. Midwest Energy was excited to have us also. So, and some of the other folks on the bus said they were glad that the commission took time out to go, and we had such a good turnout. They're very impressed. So thank you all for being there that day. Next item is executive sessions. We got 3. I don't know which one we're doing first, but I guess Does it matter?
Do the one with Carrie first?
Yep, means Carrie's sitting here. We can do that one first.
I move that the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session under the following exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception. The subject to be discussed is employee recruitment and appointment, and timing?
At 30 minutes?
30 minutes. For 30 minutes, those persons to attend, in addition to the commissioners, are Philip Smith Haynes and Bill Jeter, as well as Carrie McHugh and Darren Myers.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Now we have a motion and a second. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Motion carries 3-0. We will go upstairs. like to make a motion for a,
Can you wait just a second?
Yep.
I'm sorry. It's set too long.
okay.
Okay, Destin, I'm ready.
I need to make a motion for continuance for additional 15 minutes.
Second. Favor say aye.
On the same subject.
Yes.
Okay.
Aye.
All in favor say aye, we'll be back.
Okay. Now, I guess we don't have any news, do we? But Destin's back there.
No action. Okay, round number 2. Let's see.
I move that the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session under the following exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the non-elected personnel matter exception. The subject to be discussed during executive session is County Administrator's Employment Agreement. The open session will resume at 6:32 in the Commission Room for 5 minutes. Those persons attending in addition to the Board of County Commissioners are Philip Smith Haynes and Bill Jeter.
I second that motion, Donna. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries. See you in 5-ish.
And that was 5 minutes.
5 minutes. 5
Okay.
minutes.
Thank you.
Sure. Hi, Tom. Okay, Donna, no action again
Okay,
for the third and final time.
okay.
Dustin, would you like to make another
I
motion?
move that the Board of County Commissioners recess to executive session under the following exception to the Kansas Open Meetings Act pursuant to the attorney-client privilege exception. The subject to be discussed during executive session is tax foreclosure litigation. Open session will resume at, would be 6:45?
Sure.
6:45 in the commission room. Those persons to attend in addition to the Board of County Commissioners are Philip Smith Haynes and Bill Jeter.
And you have a second, Donna.
Okay, thank
Favor
you.
say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries.
let Carrie and Darren out?
no action. And we will, I think it's about 6:47, 6:48, we'll adjourn at 6:48. Thank you all for coming. Crowd kind of got less. Something to sign there.